you all, the brave never fall. Per aspera ad astra is Latin for through hardships to the stars. One of the best films I saw of 2019 was Ad Astra. It stars Brad Pitt, and it was. If you haven't seen it, I like it along the lines of Interstellar, First Man, and and Ad Astra goes right into that category with me for one reason. It's because all three of those stories are about men who have to overcome not only the struggles of who they are, their own memories, the people around them, their families, their core, but also they have challenges that take them away from the earth and they have to deal with things amongst the stars, meaning there is always something greater than who they are. And Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar has to deal with leaving his family behind to go pursue a mission that will save mankind. In First Man, you had, if you haven't seen First Man, I highly recommend it. One of my favorite films is the story of Neil Armstrong in the first flight to the moon and what he had to overcome with his family and a death of a child at a very young age in his life, and how he had to overcome that and still do something greater, like get to the moon. And in the case of Ad Astra, you have Brad Pitt's character has to go stop his insane father on Neptune, basically on the outskirts of Neptune, to stop his father from doing something that's going to destroy mankind. The point of these stories for me is overcoming struggle on the smallest level and at the greatest level. It's about perspective, degrees of perspective. Without hardships, you are not alive. You are not alive. You should want hardships in your life. How sweet is any memory, the greatest memories, when it's not set against something that's not so sweet, darkness? How great is the light when you come out of a dark space? People don't want to go to the dark. They want to always stay in the light. Unfortunately, no light burns forever. You're going to find yourself in darkness at one point in your life, one way or the other, and there's nothing you can do about it. However, no darkness lasts forever either. There's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Even the darkest black hole, there is a way out of it. We don't know what that is, but there has to be, right? There's an other end of that black hole. We just don't know what it is. I mention all those films in the context of mankind and womankind. We as human beings are flawed in almost every way possible. We are, in a lot of ways, one of the worst evolved adaptations the earth has ever produced. We are very weak and fragile as human beings on this planet. What has gotten us over the hump is our minds. Take that in a microcosm, you possess that same over the hump mentality. You do. All the sad stories you tell yourself every single day, you have to start making sure those stories are in context within your story. If you took the table of contents of your story and placed it in the book of another person, they would feel out of place. If you took the glossary of your biography and put it in the biography of another person, it would look completely different. If you took the tattoos you put on your body and placed them on someone else, they wouldn't fit properly. You are you. I want you to celebrate who you are. Your eyes, your heart, your mind, your soul, your body. Now mention your eyes first, because your eyes are the windows to the soul. That's what everyone says. If you can peer through those things and actually conjure up all the emotion that it takes to really see this world the way that it actually is, for you and you only. We've been taught so many things in school. We've been taught so many things by people, by the media, by celebrities, by films, books. It's a heavy influence on each of us. You have to take that knowledge and you have to understand that you have to develop and mold that knowledge that you've obtained into what fits you best, your narrative. There is no right or wrong about your narrative and who you are. No one could ever write a book and say, this person is written like this and that's it. I know everything about this person. No one can write your biography but you. What do you want to say in your biography? What do you want to say in your biography? Do you want to say, I'm a person who was weak, a person who didn't have all the strength in the world, and I gave up? Or do you want to say, I'm the person that is weak, I didn't have all the strength in the world, I refuse to give up? Whatever you're about to go through in your life, starting today, tomorrow may bring something in your life you may have no conscious of now how to develop it yourself. If someone was to ask you, what's going to happen tomorrow? Could you actually sit down and write up something that would even come close to what happens tomorrow? Can you actually do that? If someone gave you that assignment, they said, hey, here's a pen and paper. I want you to write down everything that you think is going to happen to you tomorrow. In the exact timeline, the exact same way it's going to happen. I would say you probably couldn't do that. And if you could do it, that would make you psychic and your life would be very boring. I love the fact that I can't do that. I don't want to write anything down on that piece of paper. I would write a big question mark and a smiley face after it and an exclamation point. Because I love the fact that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The good and bad and ugly of tomorrow is just as random to me as going outside on a crystal clear day at night and looking up at the stars and wondering what my life would be like if I was on each and every one of those moons and planets that surround those stars. How do I know? I don't know. What I do know is what I can control now and what I'm grateful for. The people that have come into my life, when you close your eyes, who's the first person you see? When you go to sleep at night, who's the last person you think of? When you wake up in the morning, who's the first person you think of? When it comes to activities, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you're eager to do? At night, when you close your eyes, what's the first thing or the last thing you think about that you're eager to do the next day? What's the one thing in each day that you're eager to interact with? And what's the one thing each day that you're least eager to interact with? What's the one place you want to visit? What's the one place you don't want to visit each day? What's the one person you can't not wait to see and one person you despise to see? Per aspera ad astra. Through hardship to the stars. Who knows what is beyond our lives here now? Who knows what is beyond our existence and our soul here now? We don't know. I would love to be able to see what my life is going to be like past this point. And I'm sure if you listen to this, you think about this stuff often as well. Your soul is in you now. It Doesn't do you any good to start thinking about that stuff. And I spent way too much of my life dreaming and hoping and wishing and praying upon the stars and hoping things would come to me instead of grounding myself in the damn moment and looking ahead of me and realizing that it doesn't matter who died in my life, no matter what happened in my life, no matter who I saw and who let me down and who I wish I could be with and all the jobs I wish I could have and all the cars I lost and whatever happened in my life. It's all a bunch of memories now. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. If I walked out of my house right now and just started walking and I never returned to the place that I was, what does it all mean? That means I started over. I just walked away from everything. And you have every right to do that anytime you want. You are not shackled by life, by anyone, by any place, or by anything. The power within you is more powerful than any power you probably could conjure up if someone told you can invent the ultimate power. You don't have the mindset to even contemplate what an ultimate power is. We are all here for a reason. You are drawing breath right now for a reason. Someone created us. Something created us. Something happened. We don't have the answers to that. I don't want to know what the answers are that it is right now because it's not necessary. What's necessary is for me to enjoy whatever this is that I'm in right now as best I can. That is my right as a human being to be able to explore this life and go forward confidently knowing that the future is bright. Each one of those stars has planets and moons out there. When you look up at the sky, they all have something going on we can never imagine. We can never conjure it up in our minds. I love that about life. I love the fact that there's so many challenges out there and potential out there for us to go beyond who we are. Our minds, our hearts, our souls, and our bodies. We are capable of so much more. And I love that about my body and my mind and my heart and my soul. I love waking up every morning knowing that I can completely keep adding on to who I am. And I can jettison anything that I don't want, that doesn't benefit me. And I don't owe anyone any explanation about that. I love the fact that I could be a good example to my son. That the people in my life, the really good people in my life, they were invested in me and I'm invested in them. It's a beautiful relationship. When you come this far, you realize there's so much more to life than just what's in front of you. I was talking to, I always say, like I just got done talking about the butterfly effect on an earlier podcast. Butterfly, thank you for putting that idea in my head because it really wraps up this series, this first phase perfectly. Your very thought that you have in your mind right now is affecting something that might happen 50 years from now. That is a very powerful thought. It's not even out in the world. It's just in your mind. But the fact that you're thinking it and you may act upon it at some point, will have ripple effects of things that may happen a half a century from now. It's so powerful that it has an effect on the past. There are certain things people do today that when you look back in the past, you can add reference and context to it. And you're like, wow, that's pretty incredible. I think about that all the time. The butterfly effect is a really real thing. I would say to anyone out there who's listening to this, be proud of who you are, where you came from. Be proud of the blood that's coursing through your veins. Be proud of that face in that mirror. Be brave, be bold every single day. Don't allow the outside influences to influence you to do something you know you're much better than. So much more better than. And don't settle for any person, for anything or anyone. You're so much more powerful than that. You have so much more potential. That being said, you really want to know how you grow in life, how you get better, how you turn the tide in your favor in your life? There's a mountain in front of you. It poses a challenge. You can either go over that mountain or you can just stand there and stare at it. A lot of people will walk towards that mountain and realize it's not a mountain, it's a volcano. And it's about to erupt. And that's how life is. Anytime you enter a relationship, you may start off as a little hill, turns into a mountain, turns into a volcano. Same thing with a job, same thing with anything that you do. Whenever you start something new, it always seems like, oh, I can do that. It's small. It's just a little ant hill. Oh, it's a hill. It's a mountain. It's a volcano. The problem is once people start seeing that volcano, they want to turn around and go back down the hill. And they want to go back down the mountain. You know, they want to run. No. When you see that it's a volcano, walk towards that son of a bitch. Don't give up on your journey. Don't start looking for shortcuts. Don't start looking for a path around. Don't start looking for people to help you. Don't start making excuses and procrastinating. Keep moving forward. You keep moving forward. My father died when I was 14 years old, and I remember the sadness I had in my heart, but I was very confused. I was sad, but at the same time, it was so surreal that I don't think I really comprehended what was going on with that death until I was probably nearly 20 years old. When it really started hitting me and the depression started to sink in was that I never was going to see my father again. I didn't realize until I was almost 20 years old that I didn't have anybody in my life to actually help me do anything other than tell me good job at all the things I was exceeding at, but they didn't realize how I was doing it. I was doing it by guessing all the time, guesstimating, guessing, just winging everything. I winged everything. It pushed me down into a depression, into a dark hole that was so deep and dark that I honestly don't know how I got out of it. And till this day, if I really could give you an explanation of how I got out of it, I could tell you that, but I really don't know how I did it. All I know is that I held enough of a core of myself and put it into music. And I was a jazz musician at the time, and I went out and I played shows, and I got in front of people, and I started interacting with people, and I was in a relationship at the time, and I got dumped really bad by a girl, and that hurt me at the time, and I just remember being through a very bad time. Just going through a very bad time. And I remember meeting someone who was very special to me at the time, and we ended up getting married and having my beautiful son, who was born 4 months early, and that put me through something that led me back into a dark tunnel because I didn't know how to be a father, let alone a father of a child with special needs, and it led me to who I am now. Divorced, but I got through it. And I remember thinking after I got divorced, what am I supposed to do now? I'm free, but I still have my son. I'm amicable with his mother. I have a whole new pathway of getting through things. And I remember thinking of the last movie my father gave to me was The Wizard of Oz. And it was a VHS tape. And I actually have it right now on my wall. It's part of my man cave collection stuff. He used to record movies for me on VHS. This is way back when. I mean, I can't even remember when he gave it to me, but I remember him giving it to me in his apartment, and that instantly became one of my favorite movies. And I don't even tell anybody that The Wizard of Oz is one of my favorite movies because he did that for me. But what I remembered is that how ironic that he gave me The Wizard of Oz, because what happens in The Wizard of Oz, you have a character who gets swept away from her real world, which is black and white, and put in a world of color, and she meets people along her path, the yellow brick road, to get to a goal of wanting to get back home. And the people she picked up all had goals, but they were all different, and they were all different people. And I just found it very interesting that that was the movie he gave to me. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but I took that to heart. And The Wizard of Oz, I implant that everywhere in because I'm a filmmaker and a storyteller, and I always seem to go back to that story of Wizard of Oz and having a person who is on a journey, on a path towards a goal, and meets these people that are completely different than she is, and manages to not only meet her goal, but meet the goals of everyone around them. And they all helped each other. And they had all these unexpected challenges, and the journey was long, and all these things happened, but they got it done. And I always gravitated towards that story. And I remember thinking how powerful that was for me. Because if there's one thing I could say to my father right now that my son's born, is that I hope you're proud of me, Dad, because I didn't give up. And I'm almost the same age as my father was. I just want to tell him I didn't give up. And my son's a fighter, and he was born 4 months early, and he didn't give up. So whatever strength my dad had, he gave to my son. And I'm very grateful to him for that. Per aspera ad astra, through ships, to the stars. This is your moment. You have to draw strength from wherever you can get it. It could be from someone like my father who is no longer here, to the strength that he gave through me to give to my son for him to survive. And I almost feel like my dad passed away to give that strength, the strength, he was a very powerful man, to my son. It's a trade-off. I don't like to think of it that way, but this is your chance. This is your moment. This is your powerful, powerful moment. I want to thank you for getting through the first 100 podcasts of The Brave Never Fall, the phase 1. In the phase 2, we're going to cross that volcano together. Together. You're not alone. You will never be alone. You've never been alone. I want to thank each and every one of you for helping me get through this first phase. Butterfly, thank you. Love you very much. Thank you for the strength you gave me to get through this. And to my coach, Mike, and so many more people out there who influenced me to help help this podcast get through. I appreciate you. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.